Hi, Tom. This is Dennis Lukaszewski, Milwaukee Urban Garden Program. I thought we'd give you a quick 5-6 minute video of what we've done in Wisconsin here in the great city of Milwaukee over the course of the summer. So with the help of a couple master gardeners and the people who really drive the tractor, John and Buddy, we'll give you just a brief overview of some of the projects we've been working on and show you some of the gardens we have here in the city. So I'm going to turn this tractor over to the real guy, John Wysocki. Okay, this is John. John's our, as you recall, our operations coordinator for the Urban Garden Program. John, how long have you been with the program?
I've been with it for 10 years, which I started in '84. And the program has been in operation since 1978, about.
Okay. How many gardens did you have in 1984?
In '84, in town here, in the city, there was about 12.
12 gardens?
Yeah.
And you had the county guard?
Out there.
So you know how to tractors and stuff?
Oh, sure. I live them.
And who's this guy over here on your
this is
left here?
Buddy Lampert.
Buddy Lampert. His right-hand man.
And how long have you been with the program, Buddy?
I said about 7 years.
7 years?
Yep.
And we also have Geraldo, who's been foraging in the garden here on this overcast day. Eating a corn stalk.
Yeah, that's weird.
These two are LTEs, of course, working with John Wysocki. The Reynolds, of course, is also an LTE who's been working with the youth program. The youth program for the last, 3 years?
3 years, yes. LTE for 3 years.
All right. So basically, this is our staff.
It's good. We should leave it. Keep going.
Let's do it. Let's leave it on this point, right? Well, we can kind of cut that down ever so slightly. All right. Oh. Well, Tom, I thought it would take 5 or 10 minutes, but then we started assembling all the footage that we took this past summer, and I realized it would take a little bit longer. So with the help of our master gardeners here, Jan Alba, who was doing our filming in the field, you can say hi, Jan.
Hello, Tom.
And Linda, who's running the camera right now, we're going to kind of review some of the personalities and people we met out in the field. This will put a name to all those cold, hard facts that we always send you. So, maybe you want to grab a soda, bag of chips, and then we can get started with this thing. So, let's get started and take a look at what the University Extension does. Actually, I could have Lori Weiss do that. She could explain that a lot better.
Sounds like a good idea.
University Extension has a traditional role of providing research-backed information to people throughout the state. Horticulture and urban agriculture has roles in an urban environment. You can imagine growing spaces throughout both urban and rural communities.
Let's talk a little about Shoots and Roots. Part of the home horticulture department of the University of Wisconsin Extension in Milwaukee County, the Urban Garden Program, Shoots and Roots, probably is one of the bigger programs we have in our county. Sharon Morrissey was director this past summer. It was her job to coordinate all of Shoots and Roots. It was my job to coordinate the operations, which included the plowing, the staking, the rotavating, spreading compost, and cutting the grass around the gardens in our city garden sites.
Were you also involved in gardener registration as well?
We also had gardener registration. We had the newsletters that we sent out. We have over 52 sites located throughout the county, and that includes 2,900 plots. I think it's actually 2,017 right now. The big problem, though, as I've seen in Chicago at this summer's gardening convention, the National Gardening Convention, is that most of the programs around the country that relied on operations from other people, in other words, if the city were to do the operations, many of these have been cut back so severely that these programs have fallen by the wayside. The strongest programs in the nation right now are those which have some aspects of operation, or at least are able to control these aspects of operation. You can see here for our $200 manure spreader, we're able to put leaves on the garden that we get from municipalities in the fall. And this helps rejuvenate the soils in most of our central city gardens. Our gardening mix includes many, many people, much like a melting pot.
Could be something like a vegetable soup, you might want to say?
That would be it. In other words, if all our gardeners were thought of as being the vegetables, the program would kind of hold everything together, and then we would think of the educational component as the heat and the broth that makes things wonderful. Here you see some of our city sites. We have a lot of problems with the ones which are not under our control. For some reason, and I don't know why this is, it just doesn't seem to get done. In other words, the grass doesn't get done, cut, the weeds don't get cut, and in general, these gardens don't look as good as the ones that we maintain. Fortunately, there's only 4 gardens in the city that have this problem. It's our hope that we'll have some hand in maintaining these. The best thing that's happened is working with the Milwaukee Community Service Corps. This is Roger Tietz, who's their coordinator, and we work closely with him in his educational events that are taking place with the garden program.
The value of linking vacant land and urban gardening is probably the best use of vacant land, and the only way to do that is through what Shoots and Roots can offer, educating our crews in labor-intensive activities, and the outcome is that lots of folks are benefiting from the use of that property. The value of the extension office is the way that we link our classroom out in the field with real valuable educational skills, and these skills can be used in private sector employment. That's the name of the game. Okay?
Milwaukee Community Service Corps, how did you get involved with them?
So while we were for a new place to store our equipment and vehicles, I met Roger from the Community Service Corps at a meeting at a building called the Workplace and inquired about how we could get some space there.
Isn't that the place where we are now?
Right, and it was during those meetings that I found out all that the Corps does. Our biggest problem was building and improving and maintaining our garden sites. The Corps trains individuals, among other things, in landscaping.
Oh, great. So they were able to help you?
Very much so, because it was a natural that we get together, meaning that we have the education, they have the manpower, and they need the education. A good example of our working together is at the Youth Future site. It's on the near west side in Milwaukee on 38th and Garfield.
Is this where you started working with MCSC this summer?
This was one of our first projects. Some of this video is from last year, where we see the neighborhood kids picking up papers and trash. Basically, it was 2 vacant lots, and there were a lot of, broken bottles. There were mattresses on the site, just a whole lot of debris. It certainly was, and dangerous. So we had some of the neighborhood kids come in, and Sharon Morrissey, who was working with the Buds and Sprouts youth program, got some kids together in the neighborhood, working with the Johnny Johnson Youth Futures Impact site, and helped clean up the site. And then the Community Service Corps brought in their Gear Up kids to finish off the job. Here you can see them carting off the old mattresses and other miscellaneous debris. We actually hauled out, I think, 3 or 4 trailer loads.
I believe it.
We had some of the community organizers from the Milwaukee Community Service Corps come down and help supervise the kids, including Roger and Bethany Fisher. And again, you can just see there was just a whole lot of material that we took out of this site. Quickly!
Well, here we are. Where are we? At 37th and Clark with our fine 30 or less Gear Up kids, ages 14 and 15, referred to us from Foster Children's Services Department of Social Services, with Dennis from Shoots and Roots doing a beautiful job on this lot.
We started out by bringing in topsoil, we laid sod, we built a fence, we put in a youth garden for future use. And you can see here we have some wood chip path leading to our little area in the middle.
Very pleased with the progress that we have so far. We think these kids are doing a great job and earning their $4.35 an hour in one of the toughest ways possible. Get in this. Come on. Wait, hold on.
Here you can see the guys putting in the fence. John Wysocki, our operations supervisor, came in and helped these kids figure out how to lay the fence, where to lay the fence, what's involved in putting it in. we had a little instruction in the classroom before we started this, outlining what we wanted to get done. In other words, we decided where the classroom was going to go, the outdoor classroom. And then we kind of just finished the project. We put down some sod. You can see some of the kids laying the sod that we brought in.
Looked like some really hard workers you had working there that day.
And it was hot. I think this day it was like 90 degrees at the time. It was so hot, in fact, the local merchant on the corner, Asme, brought in free sodas and donuts for the kids, which was kind of a nice gesture.
It certainly was. It's nice to see community interaction.
It is. And here's, as the project was near completion, this is what it looked like.
I'd like to thank the UW Extension program and Shoots and Roots for coming here and making a difference. I mean, it's a magic what they did in a couple of days. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was planning to come and help, but here I am, I get busy over there, come back, it's already done. It's beautiful, the change you make in our neighborhood. We appreciate that. Thank you.
And we appreciate Asme's help. We also appreciate his sodas on that really hot day. As a project, it would be good just to leave it at this as a neighborhood asset. But from this point, Sharon Morrissey was able to use this as a programming site with her Buds and Sprouts group. So from this point, we went to the classroom, get the kids going on another project. In the meantime, Sharon was out in her garden working with the kids on her Buds and Sprouts projects.
We put a dehumidifier here to remove some of the water that's floating in the air. So where's this water coming from?
Let's have Sharon tell you about her Buds and Sprouts program.
Buds and Sprouts is a youth gardening program that's part of the Shoots and Roots urban gardening program of Milwaukee County. Shoots and Roots being a federally funded urban gardening program, the youth garden program, Buds and Sprouts, is kind of an offshoot, pun fully intended, of the Shoots and Roots program. With this program, we try and develop garden sites in neighborhoods where we can then work with the kids in those neighborhoods, and hopefully the kids are already organized into groups by neighborhood organizations, community groups, scouts, boys and girls clubs, 4-H clubs, whatever. And then we help the leaders of those clubs or those groups to do gardening with kids at these sites. The sites are developed by the MCSC and Shoots and Roots with UW Extension, and that's the physical development of the garden, actually plowing it, preparing the site, getting it ready to be a garden. Each garden in what we call the neighborhood garden park concept is made up of several different components. One of the components is an outdoor classroom. And that's an area that usually has wood chips and an area where we can sit and talk. It's usually the shadiest part of the garden. We also try and provide a little bit of privacy and cut out some of the distractions from the street outside of the garden by putting in some woody plantings of shrubs and trees. And it's also kind of the park portion of the garden.
Look, I am a slug with no shell. I mean, a snail with no shell. Will somebody put some time for us too? Oh yeah. You're stepping on it.
Here it is, a slug in the egg. See?
Okay, everybody! This smells good. This smells good. Bye-bye!
Another Buds and Sprouts youth gardening project that I've been working on for the last 4 years has been Gingerbread Land. And this is the story of Gingerbread Land. About 4 years ago, I gave Sister Clara Atwater 4 packages of bean seeds. And she says, "What's this?" And I said, "These are bean seeds." And she says, "But we don't have a garden to put them in." And I said, "Well, maybe we could find a way to build a garden." And with some money from the Forest Appreciation Grant, we had a little site located on the corner of First and Center. This was the first time that we worked with the Milwaukee Community Service Corps. They helped us build the fence. They brought in some topsoil, provided some wood chips, and provided a teaching location for the Buds and Sprouts youth of the Gingerbread House. It was this garden that led to the landscape renovation of all 5 gingerbread houses. The neighbors call her Sister Clara. I'll let her tell part of the story.
Wow, this is Gingerbread Land. We're located on North 1st Street between Center and Clark. And you're talking about a beautiful area. And one of the greatest assets we have is our gingerbread garden. Are we proud of our gingerbread garden? You ought to come down and see what an improvement it's been on the corner. Now, before that corner down there had 2 drug houses, and they were quite raggedy. And we used to go visit the people and were afraid we'd fall down the steps. Well, as soon as they took and tore down those raggedy buildings, we went to pleading for a garden. And because of the 4-H and UW Extension, we now have a beautiful garden. And I'm inside. My clothes normally aren't like this, but I'm cooking the greens out of the garden. I've got green tomatoes, and I've got red tomatoes. I'm cooking the string beans out of the garden because it's Friday. And our kids have been such good kids that I decided to cook them a dinner and make a big table spread for them so they can enjoy today. So I trust you'll come down by Gingerbread Garden and pass by our North 1st and West Center Street up there and look at our garden. We got a gingerbread lady in our garden. And I do want to thank the people from UW Extension, and especially Den Den, who we so affectionately love down here, for being such an asset to us, and do our children love him. And listen, you got to come by and see where all they planted, all the beautiful flowers and the beautiful shrubbery, and the kids did not tear up one flower. They didn't go in the garden and take anything without asking for it. You're missing the treat of a lifetime, not coming down here and discovering an area where it's the most beautiful part of the inner city. It's called the Oasis of Love. So do come by to the UW Extension area down here at the 4-H part of 1st and Center. Have a gingerbready day. Goodbye.
Next year, in 1995, with a few more partners, such as the DNR, Department of Interior, along with the University Extension and the Community Service Corps, we're not only going to focus on one block, but an entire neighborhood community. This apartment was the last project that I worked with the Community Service Corps this fall, but it'll be the first for the near West Side neighborhood. Let's listen to the ideas.
I'm sitting here with Danny Reynolds at the Open Door Community Cafe, and I'd like to ask him as a master gardener what he sees as the Extension's role in helping the community here.
Well, I think one of the things we can clearly do is to make sure that we get the community where that we all have a responsibility to provide both education and support for one another, and education in the way of teaching people how to garden properly and that they can do that in an area which is so economically depressed right now. That'll be an important issue, as well as the importance of teaching them that community wants to be supported and can be supported in a way that makes some sense without just dollars and cents, but by putting in other much needed skills and technical assistance as well.
So where did this idea of the Open Door Community Cafe come from?
The idea came from us looking at Open Door Community Center and saying, how are we going to develop a self-reliance model for the center? And we felt that it was very important for the community to have something that they took ownership in, and that the community center was able to not look to almost 90 to 100% of its support coming from outside funding sources, but rather from the community we want to serve.
And it has been to this date fairly successful.
I would say it's more than 100% successful, or we probably wouldn't be sitting here. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We know the good things that can happen at Gingerbread Land. We know what we have done, and in 1995 we plan to do this to a neighborhood community.
I see the future of Extension integrated directly in our classrooms. We haven't had the opportunity to use the talents that the Extension can offer to their fullest potential. We see having classroom not only at a chalkboard, but having classroom right out on the field, and make it so the curriculum can be interfaced both ways, at a chalkboard and out there in the field. We can recreate probably the most optimum educational activity that we could ever envision here right at the core. People by trait envision that they have to travel 10, 20, 30 miles to farmers markets in the suburbs or in the urban areas just to get fresh produce. We're gonna prove that that's not the case this year. We're gonna show not only that growers can grow these vegetables right here in the city of Milwaukee, but even at a lower cost can they be acquired by the community.
You can see how the University Extension in Milwaukee County plays a vital role, not only to the neighborhoods, but also to the Community Service Corps in helping educate their members. You can see here the schooner project at the Maritime Center in Milwaukee. Using my landscape design, the Corps members' muscle, and with help from the Master Gardeners, we proved that many good things can happen in our city. I like it.
So Dennis, what do you have over here?
This is a newsletter from the Milwaukee Area Greens. And in it is a nice little article about the Open Door Community Center.
Oh, my friend Danny Reynolds, what does he have to say?
And he's quoted right here. He says, "Dreams put you to sleep at night, but it's the visions that keep you awake."
Well, here's to some sleepless nights.
Precisely.
Okay, Angela.
I'm sure.
Okay, we're going?
I'm sure everybody working out a real good thing here. I'm sure of that.
Okay, are you in the neighborhood? You live in the
yes,
neighborhood?
I live right here in the neighborhood.
Next year, this is going to be a real garden.
I'm sure it will.
This is a brand new garden on 2nd and Clark.
Right.
Here in the town. You want to say a few words about the neighborhood and how things are going?
I can say one darn thing. If they keep on improving it, it will be better.
And your name? And your name is?
Angelo.
Okay.
Angelo. A-N-G-L-O. Watch the movement. Yeah.
All right, you going to have a garden here maybe?
Oh, no, my guy, what the name? You know that guy, look at that corn that was sitting up here. Look at that. The corn was sitting up here. He planted that corn up here. Ooh, it sprouted up so good, man. You should have seen it. It really sprouted up good. I mean, I guess when you...
Well, next year we'll have rental spaces in here. You can actually get a spot.
Yeah.
So you can tell all your friends, and this will be available.
Okay, then.
All right.
Okay, I'll give you it.